I'm Kev.
And I'm Steve.
And we're from the internet.
Want to get every episode of We're From The Internet at least a day earlier than the iTunes and Stitcher folk? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/pledge to support us on Patreon, and as well as early access, we'll throw in an exclusive weekly show just for our patrons too.
Hi guys, it's Christian West. Just wondering, what for you is the most pointless sport?
Billiards.
What's wrong with billiards?
It's not a sport. Any of those sport, anything that's on Sky Sports that fat 50-year-olds can do is not a sport. Snooker's not a sport. Darts isn't a sport. 10-pin bowling isn't a sport. None of that. Poker's not a sport.
See,
if you don't have to be fit to do it, it's not a sport. Also, pointless sports, anything where the only way you can win is by a panel of judges saying you were the best one. So gymnastics is not a sport. Synchronised swimming is not a sport. Boxing, if no one ends up lying on the floor, not a sport. If you have to have judges, not a sport. X Factor, not a sport.
what about spelling bees?
Not a sport. Because the thing is, if synchronised swimming and ballroom dancing are sports, surely X Factor is a sport on that basis.
No one's saying singing is a sport, are they?
People call ballroom dancing a sport.
That's because it's athletic.
Oh, okay. Break dancing dance off. If we all had to go and just dance together in the living room now, would we be doing sport? No, of course we wouldn't.
I find running quite pointless as a sport because it's just kind of pointless. It just goes nowhere. They all go nowhere, to be fair.
But at least the fittest or the strongest... Basically, for it to be a sport, it should be the fittest or the strongest wins most of the time. And you win
walking,
through physical prowess. It's not a sport.
Exactly.
You can't win at walking.
They do speed walking, don't they?
Yeah, it's stupid. They should just run. What's the point of
all the different
walking?
distances are equally pointless. Why don't they just have a really long distance and a really short distance? 100 metres and the big one.
A marathon. What if you're a bit of both? What if you've got the fast twitch sprinting muscle fibres, but you've also got a little bit of endurance as well, and you're not as fast as the 100 metres runners, but over 800 metres, you reckon you'll take them? Yeah,
but if over 800 metres you can, but over 900 you can't. Then...
Well, they don't do 900. They do
no, but
100,
marathon,
200, 400, 800, 1500.
Exactly. I'm saying let's do one marathon. Or the heptathlon.
So why 100? Why not just do 5 metre sprint?
Because 100's enough to get out to good speed, isn't it?
I don't know. Why not 85? Why is it a set distance? Why don't they just make it one side of the room to the other race?
Well, 100 metres seems a nice square
Olympic gold medal in bleep test.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
That would be good.
Endurance.
Yeah. Could you... when I build my multi-purpose fitness facility, would it be seen as acceptable to have one of the squash courts set over purely for bleep testing?
I imagine so. How far did you used to get on that? What was it out of, the numbers?
They just kept going up, I think. It just kept going. I think I got to like level 6 or 7, maybe.
Didn't it start at 4?
Well, I don't know. I think it depends if they start you off running or if they do a bit of a warm-up first. I think we used to start at 1 and you'd walk it for the first few for the fat kids.
I think we used to start at 4.
What, so you'd be running straight away?
Yeah, and I should just keep going until about 10 people were out and then I'd just give up because I couldn't be bothered.
I'd keep going until I couldn't keep up with it anymore. I was never a very fast child. So... it wasn't a case of being too knackered to do it. I just couldn't run that fast anymore. When we used to do like the running races at Sports Day, I was so much slower than everyone else, and I would be giving it maximum welly, pushing as hard as I could.
Why? I used to just kind of...
Because I was the captain. One brilliant...
The mascot.
No, in my year 6 Sports Day at primary school, I was the captain of my house.
Were you Piggy Chapman, the mascot?
No, I was the captain because I'd already captained the football team to the House Cup.
Go Pigs.
So the last inter-house sports competition of the year was Sports Day, and my house pretty much had it all sewn up. So I put myself in the last race, which was 2 laps of the track, which is probably about 50 metres, because it was a very big track. But I was so far behind by the time I got into the home straight on the last lap that everyone else had finished.
Let's say run, piggy, run.
No, because the message got through to me that we'd won the cup. So I just walked down the home straight, cheering and dancing, and while my house went wild. It was brilliant.
That sounds pretty cool.
Do you know my tactic for winning the football in the House Cup at primary school as well?
Injuring everyone else?
I told all my substitutes that they were going to come on at half-time, forgot to bring them on, but they didn't forget. So they all came on at half-time, but no one went off. So for the second half of the final, in this 7-a-side tournament, we had 10 players and the referee didn't notice.
Nice.
So, we had quite the comeback. It was like a Liverpool in the Champions League final kind of comeback from obscurity.
I
think that's probably how Liverpool did it. Did anyone count the players Liverpool had?
Probably not.
They should go back, look at the tapes, count their players. They probably brought all their substitutes on. That's the way to come back in that kind of style.
Yeah, I used to just kind of keep an eye on what was going on around me and just play the system the second it seemed decent enough time to just bail out. That's what I do. When I realised that they'd accept a note that had no date on it indefinitely, I used to just have the same note every week for PE and just avoid it.
I
Watch
used
the
to
girls
like
play
PE.
football and stuff. Football? PE was awful unless it was football.
It was all right.
Yeah.
We used to go to the gym. We used to go swimming.
I went to the
play
gym,
cricket and
but
rugby.
then I discovered the sauna. And used to just sit in that, seeing how hot we could make it go without...
Do you reckon you could take a pack of super noodles into a sauna and they'd become edible?
They wouldn't be edible because it'd be your own sweat making them moist, wouldn't it?
No, it's the steam coming off the rocks, surely. Is saunas the ones that you have the coals and there's steam coming off it? Could you just get a plate,
steam
some
room
super
you'd need,
noodles?
wouldn't you? Steam room.
What's the difference between a sauna and a steam room?
The sauna's dry.
So it's just like a smokehouse. Could you take a rack
There's
of
no
ribs
smoke
into
in there. You just
take a
sat
rack
in
of ribs
there
into a
cooking,
sauna?
I suppose.
What, so it's just a hot room?
Yeah, very, very hot room.
So, what, an egg?
You're supposed to just like lay there
Just take an egg in there?
and melt. Whereas the steam room,
Does that count as a sport? It's at the gym. That's a pointless sport. What's the purpose of
skipping
a
is a
sauna?
pointless sport as well.
Yeah, well, there's no winner.
I
If
used to get put in a skipping race when I was at school because
there's-
I'd never pick anything. I tried, and this is at primary school. I tried to play the system there, and ended up just being stuck in the skipping race or the egg and spoon race.
if there's no way to win, it's pointless. If you can be fat and old, it's pointless. And, yeah, if it requires judges. Basically, the only real sports are football, rugby, cricket.
I knew you were going to say
And
cricket. I
running.
was just about to say, what's the point of cricket? It's a pointless sport. You're not
Course
supposed
it's
to
not.
watch it. You're supposed to just absorb it remotely.
That was
while
just
getting
your
drunk.
stupid mate told you that. I love watching
It's well
cricket.
boring to watch.
It's not boring.
It is. It's like a coma.
It's like watching 22 men play
Dry
chess.
paint.
It's like
It's
human
not like
chess.
playing chess. You just whack a ball as hard as you can.
If you do that, you'll get out. That's how bad players play cricket. The skill to cricket is all in the bowling. When you're watching cricket, you're watching the bowling.
It's not like a game of
The
chess, though.
bowlers,
They're just
it's
throwing
like-
the ball, trying to hit the wicket.
No, they're not. Again, a bad bowler's going to throw it and try and hit the wicket. You're trying to get the batsman out. So you give him one that swings in a little bit. You give him one that's a little bit slower. You perhaps have one that bounces up at him a little bit. You spin one the other way. and
Either
then the
way,
other
they're
way.
world-class batsmen, so they're going to hit it eventually and score points. It's just,
But also, you'll outfox them eventually, and you'll give them a disguised slower ball when they're expecting a faster one, and then they'll mistime their shot, and that's when you get them out. It's a mind game. It's a wonderful thing.
it's
The
not
intricacies
fun.
of
It's
cricket
not intricate
are
at all.
wonderful.
It's just throwing a ball and hitting it.
I think you're confusing cricket with rounders,
No.
because rounders is just chucking the ball and hitting it, or baseball, chucking the ball and hitting it. Cricket is a game of skill and excellent.
Yeah, but I'm running it through in my head
decision-making.
and just thinking there's not really much decision making in it. They just throw the ball.
They decide how they're going to
different
throw
ways.
it.
Yeah, or they cheat, which they always do by rubbing the ball. They're all a bunch of cheats who try and put their, step over the line or fray the ball slightly. And it's like, okay,
Yeah,
if you
it's
can only
awesome.
win by cheating, then there's no point.
Well, I would say a sport is only a sport if you can win by cheating. Because if you can take loads of drugs and win, that means it's a sport. Because no matter how many steroids you take, it's not going to make you any better at snooker, but it'll make you better at football, rugby, cricket and running.
Snooker's an odd one, isn't it? Because I don't see how that hasn't reached its peak. Surely, if you're world class at that, you can hit a ball at the right angle.
Yeah,
I know
I
it's all
think-
about snookering each
I think
other.
the key to it, as qualifying whether or not it's a sport, is whether or not you can cheat by taking steroids. If you can win by taking steroids, it's a sport. If steroids make no difference to your chances of success, it's not a sport. Decision made. Easy peasy. Want an extra episode of We're From The Internet every week? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/bonus to get an exclusive weekly bonus episode 100% free.